Well, friends, I did it again. If you have been here for a while, then you know that I posted a quarterly business retreat a few years ago. Maybe that's 2 years ago by now. And between the time I recorded the quarterly business retreat and posted the quarterly business retreat, it was like months in between. And that happened again this year. Whoops. So I actually had my first quarter business retreat back in, it was like the end of March, early April. And then April and May just got really busy and full of client work, which is always wonderful. But I just didn't have the capacity, time, bandwidth to really dig deep into these videos. These videos actually pack a lot of information, and I'm just really happy to share it with you. I'm also happy to kind of like dig through it a little bit more because if you are in any kind of like beginning stages of your business, these are some of the concepts that I talk about in these videos are actually going to be super helpful for you. So if you are new here, welcome. My name is Adrena. I'm the owner and accountant here at Accounting by Adrena. And usually I talk QuickBooks, accounting, bookkeeping, but in these next few videos, I'm going to be talking all about my quarterly business retreat that happened in the first quarter of this calendar year of 2023. So I decided to divide this video into 3 different parts because the retreat was actually 3 days, and there's just a lot of information jam-packed. So I just wanted to make it a little bit more palatable, a little bit easier to digest so that you can follow along and write your own notes too, because again, I highly suggest making sure you add this to your agenda for your next quarterly business retreat. And if it's just with you and maybe one other person, like a virtual assistant, then that's what it is. And to be honest, my first quarterly business retreat was alone. It was just me. So I rented an Airbnb in San Diego. I got away for the weekend and I just brainstormed the whole time. I planned out. I was actually more focused on like what my goals were in my business for that year than talking about the concept of my business and kind of like what I stand for and what's the ethos of my business. So that is kind of what this quarterly retreat was all about, a little bit more. So I'll walk you through some of these concepts that we talk about in these next few videos, and I hope it's really helpful. Make sure you read the description box below because I'm going to leave some helpful information for you there. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to comment down below, and I'll be in the comments responding to you. Don't forget to subscribe to my newsletter so you're the first to know of any new YouTube videos coming out. All right, friends, let's jump right into day one. Day one is complete. I am so excited. I'm so thrilled with just getting here, first of all, and then being able to start discussions on things about my business that I have never even thought about before. Now, this is like year 5. So if you are just getting started in your business, maybe you can start thinking about this a little bit sooner than I did. So first off, the session was with 2 of my subcontractors, and one of them was my former virtual assistant. We're going to change her role into creative manager, and the second person is my newest member of the team, and we're putting her into a new kind of role for online business manager. So she's going to be helping me with assistant stuff, and then also a few other things that kind of help propel my business forward in a way that I've never thought before. But I wanted to share a few things with you guys, and I'm sure I'm going to come back to these concepts later on in this video. So the first thing is just getting started with a business retreat similar to this. You always got to do some icebreakers, right? Kind of like break it up a little bit. Don't just talk strictly business. So we started off with an icebreaker, 2 truths and 1 lie. And that was a lot of fun. So I highly recommend doing something like that where it's engaging and it requires everyone to play along. There's no winner, there's no loser. It's just for pure fun. So that was a lot of fun. We had fun with that. And then second, we kind of reviewed the agenda and what the sessions are going to be about. I kind of put together like a loose agenda because I haven't done something similar similar to this before. So I wanted to make sure that there were things that we could kind of touch base on and talk about. Now, the other pieces of it that I wanted to tell you guys a little bit more in detail were about the pillars and also about the SWOT analysis. So the pillars are kind of just like standard pillars that every business should be thinking about. And I printed it out for us just so we could have it handy, but also so we could review it and just keep it on the forefront of our minds. I'll just go ahead and list it here on the screen so you guys can see it. But the pillars really are vision and mission, strategy and planning, communication and collaboration, leadership and management, innovation and creativity, customer service and experience, diversity, equity and inclusion, wellness and work-life balance, performance and metrics, industry trends and changes. Now that's a lot, and that can encompass a lot of different things. If we were to touch base or talk about each one of those pillars, I think those could be their own separate conversation. And so just, we have limited time. I don't want to burn us out on this retreat. So I just printed it out so we can keep it at the forefront of our minds as we're talking through the business side of things. So I wanted to offer that to you so you guys have that handy as well. Now, the other thing we started to talk about is something called a SWOT analysis. Now, I know that I learned this back in grad school many moons ago, and it basically stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, where you take a concept and you kind of brainstorm different strengths that you have, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Now, these can be external and internal and or internal, so that can take the conversation in a whole variety of ways. I know for one of the companies that I used to work for, we kind of did like a little bit of like what we called a heat map. But basically what we did at that last company was we talked about external threats and opportunities, and basically it was the discussion on industry standards. So like where that company was based on industry standards, and the heat map kind of shows like in the red part of it where those would be kind of like threats or weaknesses, and then the green part of it is like a strength or an opportunity. So that's like another way to kind of like think about these concepts. I'll just read this part to you. The SWOT analysis is a technique for assessing these four aspects of your business. SWOT analysis is a tool that can help you to analyze what your company does best now and to devise a successful strategy for the future. I really wanted to mention this because this is pretty important. When we started to discuss the SWOT analysis, I wanted to think of my business as like three different business areas. So first of all, there's my clients. So that is current clientele. What are some strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that are facing my clients? I mean, even if I were to just brainstorm with you right now, some strengths are that I have a good, solid network in Pasadena of clientele. Now, the other thing that I was thinking about is like threats would be if I lose one of those clients. So that could be a potential threat. What's an opportunity? Maybe we can perform more for my clients, or, is there something that we're not doing? What is one of our weaknesses? If there's a weakness there, is there an opportunity there? So that's kind of just like how I would go about it. So going back to my original point, I think about my business in three different business areas. So I think about my clients, I think about my team, and I think about content. So like YouTube, social media, Instagram. So like those are three different like main areas of business for my team, for me. And so what I wanted us to do is to discuss a SWOT analysis for those three different areas. We ran out of time today to get into like the nitty-gritty details of it, but I basically said like this is homework and we're going to revisit this at a later session. So kind of like some questions to think about. When I think about like having these types of conversations, I think about it in like three separate terms: past, present, and future. What works really well? What worked really well in the past? What works really well right now? And what can be improved upon in the future? So that's kind of like where I'm taking this. I wanted us to think in terms of broad business areas. And that's kind of why I didn't get into details on those pillars. I just want us to have these broad conversations to start, especially with bringing on a very brand new teammate right now. I don't want to like throw too many nitty gritty details. I don't want us to get lost in the weeds. I want us to think about like the larger part of my business, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So that is kind of the direction that we took today. I felt like we had a lot of really great, solid conversations. I'm really excited about tomorrow. I'm also very tired, so I am about to get in my pajamas and head to bed because that is going to be it for me tonight. I'll see you back on day 2.